From NBC LA, LAPD creates tourist burglar task force. There's another story about home break-ins in Northern California I want to take a look at on the other side of this one.
Now to our other top story, the LAPD says it's starting a new task force aimed at catching and stopping teams of burglars from other countries who visit Southern California.
Okay, yeah, burglars from other countries who visit Southern California. And, okay, a burglar task force, right? But what about the police? Same thing Bo Jiden said in the State of the Union. Oh, well, we have, and Shang Tao does it too. We have to work with the gun violence prevention team and the home burglary task force. You mean the police? Just let the police do their job.
To steal. They're called tourist burglars, and they've been a unique problem for years now.
That's right. Our investigative reporter Eric Leonard joins us now with
tourist burglars. They've been a problem for a handful of years now, and I'm sure it has absolutely nothing to do with the wide open border.
a live update on how detectives plan to stop them. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Michael and Annabelle. Well, LAPD Chief Dominic Choi says this new task force will focus on these organized crime groups who are sending thieves to LA from other countries with the specific task of burglarizing homes, often in LA's wealthy neighborhoods. So far this year, Choi says residential burglaries have been a particular problem for police. Some thieves are now using sophisticated tools to try to bypass home security.
Yeah, and what did you think was going to happen after all of the retail, the smash and grabs, the train robberies? Everybody remember the train robberies when there was giant piles of trash because somebody had knocked over a train car carrying a bunch of Amazon packages or something?
It's a stunning sight. Thousands of packages stolen right off of trains. If your UPS or Amazon package hasn't arrived, it might be somewhere here in this mess, discarded on a Union Pacific Railroad track near downtown LA. As freight trains slow down or come to a halt, the thieves leap on board with bolt cutters, open giant containers, and take whatever they want. This is what they leave behind. All these boxes, some empty, some not.
Real luck of the draw stuff, right? Like, let's break into this, and hopefully it's not all just, I don't know, shoe trees. And so, I mean, what were they even looking for? They're just shooting in the dark. And I guess it's a little bit less shooting in the dark when you break into a mansion in Los Angeles.
Dominic Choi at his second Board of Police Commissioners meeting as LAPD chief, confirming the department is assembling a special task force in response to so-called burglary tourism.
We have a significant increase in burglaries from
Even burglary tourism is kind of like a euphemism. You mean thugs, criminals coming from all over the world to break into big houses in LA?
organized groups that are outside this country that are coming into the country, and they are targeting high-end residents, and we are addressing that specifically in a task force fashion through multi-agencies.
Lots of these break-ins have been recorded by security cameras in recent years. Detectives tell me many tourist burglars who've been arrested often entered the U.S. through a visa waiver program. Many were visiting from Chile and other South American countries.
A visa waiver program allowed them to enter the country. Huh.
LAPD says there have been more than 900 residential burglaries across the city since January. Some of those committed by the tourist burglars who often...
900 since January? That sounds like a lot. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Los Angeles is fairly densely populated. There's millions of people, but 900 in 3 months, almost 4 months, sounds like quite a bit for these people who came in on, visa exemptions.
Often target luxury homes in the foothills, and some of them may be using new technology to interfere with home security. Just last week, the LAPD's Wilshire station sent out this alert that Wi-Fi jammers had been used to block camera and alarm signals during some recent break-ins.
Some sort of device.
Yeah, so the cops aren't going to help you. You try to help yourself by installing a security camera, but they got through that. And I can be almost certain that you're not allowed to protect your home, right? You're going to have to jump through so many hoops to get one, home protection tool. But they got tools, right? They got their tools, but you're not allowed to have yours.
Device by burglars that actually deaden, kill, or stop Wi-Fi from operating.
The immediate fix for these home alarm systems is to hardwire them, where you plug those systems directly into your Ethernet in the wall and not use your Wi-Fi internally.
Yeah, don't use Wi-Fi, and make sure to leave your key fob near the door so they don't get too aggressive.
Says he's not sure if the tourist burglars have been using these devices, but the I-Team has learned jammers and drones have been found by officers in Beverly Hills and other nearby cities. Last year, burglars were caught staking out homes in Orange County while wearing a camouflage suit like this, similar to ghillie suits worn by military snipers. And it's not just a California story.
Wait, they're going to those lengths to dress up in full camo to break in after they got in the country on a visa exemption? How is this happening? This is wild. But don't worry, it's always going to be the fault of the cops, right? When people aren't getting paid enough and there's homelessness, then it's the fault of the business owner. They need to pay more, but some of those business owners are going to pay off the governor to, skirt the new requirements. And when people are breaking into your house and you've installed a camera to try to stop that, make sure that you hardwire it, right? Same thing in Oakland. Oh, they're going to put up a sign. This is a robbery-free zone. This is a burglary-free zone. This is a crime-free zone.
Police in Scottsdale, Arizona announced today the arrests of a trio of suspected residential burglars, all in the U.S. on the visa waiver program and suspected of being part of a wide-ranging criminal organization.
Yeah, and they had to go to Arizona to announce that arrests were actually being made.
These are Chilean burglary crews that are coming to the United States on the visa.
Oh, yeah, Chilean burglary crews. That's it, just crews.
It's a waiver program.
Now, we've reported on burglary tourism investigations for several years now in Ventura and Orange County in particular. We're trying to get some more information about why the LAPD has decided to set up this task force now. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm investigative reporter.
Yeah, okay, the visa waiver program. Now from KTVU Fox 2 San Francisco, home burglary victims cite problems with reporting crimes to OPD. And we just saw the OPD is implementing the 30 by 30 strategy to hire more diverse and inclusive officers. And they're not going to take the call.
And now we go to Oakland tonight, and a resident is speaking out about crime in her neighborhood. She says police just not making reporting crimes easy. In fact, her home was broken into just last week, and she says she's been in limbo with the police ever since. KTV's Crystal Bailey is here now, and Crystal, she wasn't the only one.
Well, what did you think they were going to do? The cops obviously weren't going to do anything. Right, this is how far we've gone. Are you still, I'm not surprised by this. Are these people still surprised, right? You don't have a chief of police. They're waiting. Mayor Shangtao is waiting to install a weirdo LGBTQ agenda-driven chief of police that's not going to, crack down on crime at all. The same thing in San Francisco with the DA, Brooke Jenkins, who claimed to be tough on crime and they were going to turn over a new leaf, but it's still just a weirdo woman of color who's not going to do anything.
Hit by thieves.
No, Heather, multiple homes were hit over about 24 hours last week in Oakland. That's what 3 different people I spoke to tell me. They think they might have been targeted by the same group. The victims I spoke to say they had a hard time getting a response from Oakland police. It was a typical Wednesday
Now, do we know if those home invaders were on the visa exemption plan?
afternoon until Denise, who lives in East Oakland, says her home was burglarized.
It just felt very violating, like the house smelled like marijuana, it's like, who are these people?
They were going in there and smoking weed. Where were your burglar bars, lady? You live in East Oakland and you don't have one security gate? What happened? They were in there smoking weed and stealing stuff, and you tried to report it to the cops, and they said, I don't know.
People that just came into my house.
She says her neighbor called her, telling her someone was climbing through her window, so she came home to her bedroom ransacked and her jewelry missing.
There was some, old vintage gold jewelry my mother had given me and things my friends had made me, and, the sentimental value is definitely can't put a price on that.
She says her neighbors called 911, telling her 2 young men had entered the home at around 2:15 in the afternoon, riding around in this black sedan.
We couldn't sleep that night, my husband and we feel very unsafe. You know, we feel like the police have not come. You know, people called 911, the police never came.
For Denise,
it's over. There are no police, right? We know that the crime can get out of control, but the cops are not going to be allowed to do investigations. The investigations are always going to be into the cops and their, perceived misconduct. It's absolutely crazy.
hearing back from Oakland police has been...
And we can imagine that if, for the sake of argument, if she were home or if her husband or whatever were home and, took a stance at eliminating the burglars, they would likely be made criminal themselves.
Difficult. She says she called multiple days in a row to get an officer to come to her home, but eventually filed a police report online where she had a hard time uploading photos and descriptions. A police officer called late in the night, leaving a voicemail that an officer would come by, but Denise was asleep. And
wow, they called her in the middle of the night. I mean, this is crazy, but I guess it makes sense because in New York and California as well, they can quite literally steal homes, right? Squatters have rights.
Next door, at least 2 other people complained of the same problem, with their Oakland houses getting hit just half an hour apart last Tuesday afternoon. They tell me they also had a hard time getting a hold of an investigator or getting an officer to come to the house.
And it was exactly the same.
So you can really only hope to stop the burglars by doing something so bad, you will also be considered enough of a criminal that the regime won't do anything about it.
Thing where they took jewelry and then they put it in a pillowcase, which is what they did at our house.
Over the last few days, we've exchanged emails with an Oakland police spokesperson asking about the multiple reports we found on Nextdoor, but they told us they don't immediately have access to reports filed online or in person.
You just feel like...
Yeah, so go online and file your report, but we also don't check that either. Wild.
Like you're alone, like we're all alone out here in Oakland.
Oakland police crime statistics say robberies are up 34%, while burglaries are down 48%.
Yeah, what you should do, okay, they're going to juke the stats here, right? They stop reporting crimes, they stop responding to the calls, and then say crime went down. Well, yes, of course. Same thing in San Francisco. Well, retail theft is down. Yeah, because there's no more retailers.
Over last year, residential robberies using force or a weapon are up 71%. And an Oakland police spokesperson also told me that they cannot tell us whether or not Denise's home or other home burglaries are currently being investigated.
Okay, so we know that Oakland police and other departments across the Bay Area really encourage people to report crimes online. So what were some of the difficulties that this woman faced when she tried to do that?
Well, it's kind of like the Obamacare. Oh, just go online, sign up online. Take 3 days. It doesn't work, right? So we're not going to answer your call. We're going to call you. We're going to return your call in the middle of the night and pretend, oh, can't believe we missed you. Then tell you to file your report online, which we also are not going to look at. We're also going to ignore hundreds of applications for dispatchers. We're also going to investigate perceived racism from 12 years ago. We're also going to work on hiring women, and you'd have to be completely blind. Stevie Wonder could see that this is a controlled demise.
Well, Denise says she tried to upload photos. She was actually recommended to upload photos by the dispatcher, but the software to upload photos was not working at the time. And of course, you have to consider elderly people who may have a hard time uploading anything online.
Sure, and may not be as familiar with the technology, so just another hurdle for potential victims. All right, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. What they should do, and I'm going to solve the problem here, is just put up a sign that says no stealing zone.